Hi, good evening, everyone. I started this live session a few minutes ago, but it went off. So I'm restarting it again. So let's go. So for those that joined earlier, thank you so much. So I'm talking about root causes of adolescent or teenage rebellion. And when I started earlier, I said that rebellion is as old as the days of the Bible. And I'll be sharing some of the things I've learned based on my faith, and some of the things I've also learned based on my practice as a psychologist. So let me start by saying that, see, raising children, especially your adolescents, should not be something that is tasking, should not be stressful, should not be something that you're going to lose your cool over. With the right tools, with the right information, with the right skills, this process, your parenting journey, should be something that should be joyful, something that should be peaceful, something that you, hi Funola, thank you for watching, something that you would do without any stress. And talking about rebellion, like I said rebellion is something that is as old as are the days of the Bible. There are so many stories we've read in the Bible about maybe a clan that was rebellious, or about a certain maybe someone's child that was rebellious, and they all face the consequences of their action. So one of the things parents should know, and one of the things parents should be deliberate about telling their children is, see, come, if you are disrespectful, you have to face the consequence of your action. If you are being rebellious, you're going to face the consequences of your action. And based on my faith, I'll still go back to my faith, based on the Bible, God has given us some laid down rules. He has given us like some guidelines on how he would want us to raise our children. He has given us some guidelines on how he will want our relationship with our children to be. And for me, this is my own summation. I see a parent-child relationship as similar to God and his human beings relationship. The way he relates with us, the way he wants us to, the way he relates with us is the same way I believe he wants the parent and the child relationship to be. And when we talk about rebellion, why would a child be rebellious? Why would a child be disrespectful? So what I'll be talking about this evening is, I'll be talking about what rebellion is, what disrespect is. I would also talk about the different forms that this disrespect and rebellion can show up, and I will also talk about the main topic, which is the root cause of rebellion and disrespect in the home. And I'll give a few tips on how parents can actually deal with this behavior in the home. So first thing parents have to know about rebellion is that rebellion is an act, is a process of resisting authority. The child is resisting authority, the child is resisting control. And this act is also similar to being disobedient, being defiant, being is also insubordination, right? And while we talk about disrespect as when a person has no regard, for a person, maybe a person has no regard for another person, or does not have regard for a constituted authority, or the person treats the other person with contempt or rudeness, that's when you say this person is being disrespectful. There's a difference between being disrespectful and being rebellious. However, before a child becomes rebellious, the child would have started by being disrespectful in the home. That's what you need to know as parents. The child would have started by being disrespectful in the home. So if you have a child that is being a bit disrespectful, it will be it's ugly to be rearing up like that, and you do not check it on time, it might lead to the child being rebellious. I need you to know that it might lead to the child being rebellious. Every act of disrespect, if not checked on time, if not corrected on time, might lead to the child being rebellious. So what are the causes of disrespect? What are the causes of rebellions in our home? The first cause It's in the Bible. The Bible says, train your child the way he should go. Train. The first reason children are disrespectful or rebellious is because the parent has failed to train or to teach that child to be respectful, has failed to train that child to respect constituted authority. As a parent, what are you modeling? Do you model respect in your home? Does your child see you respecting authority? You're driving by the road, you're driving on the road, there's a traffic light that says red, and you go past it. How do you treat the people you live in the home with? How do you treat your spouse? Do you respect your spouse? These are things your children are seeing, and what they see you doing is what they end up doing. So if as a parent you are not respectful, you are not you don't show regard for people, you disregard people, you treat people anyhow, guess what, honey? Your child is learning from you, and your child will be that disrespectful. So first reason is when a parent has failed to train, when a parent has failed to teach the child to respect authority, then the child too will be disrespectful. Then the second reason, or the second cause for rebellion in the home, or for your child to be disrespectful, is your parenting style. So if you are too strict with that child, the child will rebel. If you are too lenient with that child, the child will see he has no reason to respect you. After all, this is the way we do it in the home now. Mommy, the child will tap you and say anything and behave anyhow because you have no rules, you have no regulations in the home. So your parenting style matters. If you are too strict, you do not regard the child's opinion as important. You do not treat the child as a person in the home. All you do is just dish out orders, give instructions without showing the child love, without showing this child support. You have a high expectation your expectations are high, and without commensurate support and love, the child is just waiting. The next thing you know, the child will end up will rebel against those authority, will rebel against those rules you've set in the home. Then the second part under your parenting style is if you are too lenient, you have no rules in the home, the child can come and go and do anything he or she wants to do, the child can eat anywhere, no regard, no, the child would end up being rebellious, and the child would end up being disrespectful. That is the second reason. So the first reason is you, the parent, have you taught the child to respect authority? Have you taught your child to be obedient? Have you taught your child? Have you sat down? Have you created rules, set expectations for your children? Let them know what is expected of them. Have you done that? If you have not done that, do not expect your child to be polite. Do not expect your child to respect authority. Do not expect your child to be respectful, because you've not taught the child. The second reason is your parenting style. If you are too strict, the child will end up being rebellious. If you are too lenient, as in no rule in the house, anything goes, the child will be disrespectful. Then the third reason is when you have rules in the home. I spoke about you having rules, and you, the parent, you do not respect these rules. So let me give an example. We're all meant to eat on the dining. We're all meant to eat at the dining table, right? And you've set the rules. Everybody have set the rules. You've all agreed. This is the rule. No eating on the dining table. No eating in the room. No eating in the sitting room. We all have to eat at the dining table. And you, mommy, you, daddy, you now carry your food. You now go enter the room and go and eat. There's no way your children too will not carry food into the room. Why? Because they've seen you, you've modeled, you've disregarded the rules you've all set together in the home. That is another reason for children being disrespectful and being rebellious. When you agree to do something together and you end up not respecting the rules you've all set together. Now, going to the psychology part. So the first the first three reasons I gave: when you do not model the right thing, when you do not teach your children, when your parenting style is too strict or your parenting style is too lenient, your child ends up being disrespectful and rebellious. Now, talking about the psychological side now. So for those that have attended any of my courses, especially the course that has to do with understanding the psychology of your adolescent, in this course I've said a lot about the different changes that happens when our children are transiting from childhood into adulthood. That period, that 10-year gap, is the period for your child to learn skills, to learn life skills, to learn rules, to become self-aware, to learn so many things. If parents are not available in the life of that child for that period, please do not expect your child to end up doing what you did not teach. So as a psychologist, one of the things we say, one of the things that research has proven is that when a child becomes an adolescent, his brain is still developing. And because his brain is still developing, that's the thinking part of the brain, that's the prefrontal cortex is still developing. The emotional brain is fully developed. By the time the child becomes an adolescent, the child has lots of emotions. And this is one of the things I tell parents in our course, Understanding the Psychology of Your Adolescent, is that your child will have loads and loads and loads of emotion coming up during this period. One of the things that you should know is that your child is not equipped at that point in time to process all these emotions. It does not have the necessary skills to process all these emotions. But what is your role as a parent? Your role as a parent is to teach the child. So you can see I'm going back to teaching. I started with teaching. Is to teach the child coping mechanism. When you have so many emotions going through you, you don't lash out at people around you. You don't shout at people around you. You don't walk out on people around you. You don't slam the door at people because you're upset. You have to teach the child how to manage his or her emotion. That is the role of the parent. And I tell parents, see, your role in the life of your child is to teach the child the necessary life skills. Emotional intelligence is a skill. No one was born with emotional intelligence. It's a skill we have to develop. It's a skill we have to learn. And as parents, if you've not developed this skill for yourself as a parent, there's no way you can pass it to your children. So even as a parent, you need to learn how to manage your emotion so that you can teach your children, your adolescents, how to cope with all these forms of emotion going on around them. They have so many things happening to them and they don't even know how to respond. They don't know how to communicate this emotion. So let me give an example. Maybe a child that's in school, nobody talks to her in school. Everybody is, they're ghosting her in school. And she comes home that day upset. And the first thing that comes to the mom's mind is, Kemi, why didn't you arrange your room when you left the home this morning? What the natural response from that child would either be the child will snap or the child will get, because the child is coming with her own emotional baggage from outside. So that's why it's important as parents that we teach our children. Teaching is we need to learn to teach our children all these necessary skills. We need to teach them how to manage their emotions. We need to teach them how to respect constituted authority. We need to teach them how to respect rules and regulations. And another thing that would allow a child to be disrespectful or to be rebellious is when the child has, when I started, I said before a child becomes rebellious, the child first of all would have been disrespectful in the home. If the child has shown one form of disrespect and the parents did not act, you did not curb that act of disrespect or that behavior when it started, it will end up becoming rebellious. So as parents, you have to learn to teach your children how to manage their emotions. You have to learn to teach your children how to set how to follow rules and regulations. And one of the ways you can teach them is by ensuring that when they don't do the right thing, they face the consequence of their action. If you go through the Bible, apart from the area of grace now that God Christ, even for any act you commit, you have to face the consequence of that act. And for parents, you have to teach your children to respect authority. When they don't respect, they should know the required consequence. But if your child is being disrespectful and the next thing you do is start shouting at the child, start yelling at the child, it will end up becoming an argument and a yelling match. The child too would yell, you would yell, and they'll be wondering, who is the mom here, who is the dad, who is the child here? That is not the way to manage a disrespect in the home. That is not the way to manage a child that is being rebellious. You should have taught the child how to respect authority right from when the child was younger, before the child became an adolescent. And for parents that have children who are being disrespectful, next week I'm going to give tips on how to handle rebellion and disrespect in the home. Today is all about the root causes, the reason a child is being disrespectful. I've given 5 reasons. The first reason is when parents do not teach their children how to respect authority, you do not teach your children how to be respectful, they will be disrespectful and rebellious. The second root cause is the way you raise your child, your parenting style. If you are too strict, the child will be rebellious. If you are too lenient, the child will have no regard and no respect for anybody, including you, the parent. That is the second reason. The third reason is when you, the parent, have no regard for the rules and regulations in the home. Like I said, you are the child's role model, you are the first teacher and first role model. And if you are telling your child to do A and you are doing B, forget it. The child will not do A, the child will do B. Is what you're doing is what the child will do. That is the third reason. The fourth reason I said has to do with psychology. When you do not respect your child's feelings, when you don't respect your child's feelings, when you don't listen to your children, one thing they say about in parenting is your child needs your attention. So if your child is not getting your attention by being good, your child will get your attention by being bad. So if you do not listen, and this is one of the things, whenever I go for trainings, whenever I go teach, I always ask that, there's this questionnaire I pass around, and we ask children, what is it about your parents you want to know? And they will say, my parents do not listen, my daddy does not listen to me, my mommy does not listen to me, they do not understand my feelings, they do not understand what I'm going through. That is another reason for children rebelling. Why? They want to get your attention. They say, mommy is not listening to me, so let me do what I want to do. There's a particular guy that posted something on my Instagram handle yesterday when I asked that, have you been disobedient? Well, have you rebelled as a younger child? And the person said yes, that he rebelled because his mom did not believe in him. His mom was always saying negative things about him. His mom was always saying, you just imagine a mom always not believing that the child can do something good, and maybe something's missing in the home, and if the mother goes, Femi, you were the one that took it, right? And I was like, but I didn't take it, mommy. And mom goes, no, it is you. And because of that, the child started rebelling. The child started doing the bad things his mom was accusing him of, and he started doing it. He said, she said I was doing it, so let me start doing it. When we do not consider our children's emotions, it can actually cause them to rebel. Now, coming to the psychology part of it, adolescents, according to psychology, they assume that most adolescents have the tendency to be rebellious. Why? Because the brain is still developing. The prefrontal cortex, that is the thinking part of the brain, the part of the brain that is meant to be used for executive functioning, is still developing. that the emotional brain is fully developed. And because the emotional brain is fully developed, children have all sorts of emotions going through them. But because they've not been taught how to process these emotions, because they've not been taught how to process these emotions, because they've not been taught how to manage these emotions, they might end up acting anyhow, And so, for example, somebody posted today that yesterday her daughter walked out on her and slammed the door, and she went to meet the daughter and she spoke to the daughter and told the daughter, don't ever do that again. And the daughter apologized. At that point in time, what was going through the daughter's mind was, mommy is just bombarding me, let me just move, and slamming the door to the child might be, I don't want to hear mommy's voice again. As a psychologist, I'm not encouraging disrespect, but I'm encouraging parents to understand the emotions going through their children. Your children have emotions. They want to speak with you. They want to interact with you. They want to pass certain information and ideas across to you. But if you are not accessible, if you do not listen to them, if you do not, I'm trying to use for another word, if you're not accessible, and the only way they can get through to you is by being rebellious, by, let it not get to that level. And that's why parents need to understand the psychology of their adolescent. You need to come for this course, understanding the psychology of your adolescent. You need to know what to expect. Like psychologists have already said that most adolescents, most teenagers have the tendency to be rude to their parents, because it's already there, it's in them. The Bible says their foolishness is bound in the heart of the child. It's there, it would come up one of these days if you've not trained the child, if you've not taught the child how to manage his or her emotion. It will come up one of these days. So as parents, you have to teach. As parents, you have to train. As parents, you have to be consistent with your rules and regulations. As parents, your parenting style should not be that of being too strict. Your parenting style should not be that of being too lenient. As parents, you need to understand the psychology of your adolescents. You need to understand what is going through their mind. As parents, you need to have a connection. You need to build a deep connection with your adolescent, so that when they're going through emotional stuff, they're able to express themselves properly to you. They don't have to slam the door. They don't have to walk out on you. They don't have to do all those negative things. Why? Because you've taught them the right thing to do. So thank you everyone for joining this evening session. We started earlier, and due to network, I had to end that session. So for those watching now, you can tell us what you've learned. You can post what you've learned, what you didn't know that you now know, what you knew before that I've reiterated. You can just write it down in the comment section, and I will always get back to you. Teaching is very important. Connecting is very important. We have to build our connection. We have to build our relationship with our children. When we build our relationship with our children, it makes it easier for us to influence them. It makes it easier for us to teach them the right things to do. It makes it easier for them to do the right thing, basically. So thank you everyone. Have a nice night rest. God bless you. Bye.